Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cartalicchio. Want to welcome you to another version of the Destination Health Podcast, Finding Function in a Dysfunctional World. I'm really excited about today's conversation. You can see I'm excited. Sarah Tugender is on our podcast today. Sarah, how are you? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, better than ever.
Better than ever.
Here with you. And this is so fun. I'm usually on my own podcast, so I love when I get to bop over to someone else's. Nice.
And I get to ask you questions now, right?
I mean, go ahead, try me.
Right? I mean, there's going to be this whole thing. We're going to fight. Who's going to ask questions here? Okay. So Sarah grew up around hospitals, healthcare practices, born when her dad was a first-year medical student at Tufts University. First-year medical student, and let's have a baby. That must have been exciting. Remembers bringing her dolls to the break room at Sinai Hospital, where her dad was a resident, to get stitched up with real stitches. Who did the stitches? Did you do them, or did dad do them, or did
And some of the other residents, they all did them. We all practiced.
Really? So you went to BU, marketing degree, advertising degree, natural partnership for Sarah to help her dad with those services in the practice. For the last 15 years, helping healthcare providers like me increase their income impact using their passion for whatever they're doing. I love this. This is great. Certified online curriculum specialist, design signature health programs. You have your own podcast, the Health of Your Business podcast. And you've interviewed a lot of people. You haven't interviewed me on that podcast now, have you?
I have not.
Oh
no.
my goodness. We may have to change that at one time. So Sarah, what was that moment that you decided to get into helping individuals like myself? You know, we have our passion. We want to get it out to the world. What was that moment that you said, I got to help my dad. I got to help these people because what we're doing is important in the world. What happened during that time?
Isn't it sometimes funny how we get into things by accident? Like
Yes.
we think that we're on some kind of path, and it's so much fun to be on these kind of podcast interviews and have my own podcast because I actually wanted to be the next Katie Couric. I thought I was going to go into journalism. I thought I was going to be someone who was going to be TV. You know, you watch TV and you say, how could I maybe be famous? How could I do something fun? I love public speaking. And I was one summer, it was the summer right before my junior year. I was stopped. I think I was off to play tennis with some friends and have myself a summer. I was always a lifeguard at the local country club. I didn't have a care in the world. I worked hard, but it didn't feel like work. And my dad said, you can't go do that. You have to come to my office because I need you to sit in on a marketing meeting. Like, you want me to sit in on a marketing meeting? Now, Dr. Dan, I got to tell you, my dad has never asked me before that day and never really asked me after that day to sit in on any other marketing meeting. It was so bizarre. But in that moment, I realized that I had a skill set that he didn't have with the emergence of social media, with the way marketing works today, with the way that products and goods are sold and believability and authority. And I was learning a lot of this starting in journalism because I was getting my core communication skills down. And I quickly said, I need to learn a different skill set. It's got to be more marketing. It's got to be more advertising because they think I'm going to have a bigger impact on the other side of the screen. I think I'm going to have a bigger impact in the field. Love health and wellness. I'm a wellness nut myself. All my extracurricular classes have always been nutrition, fitness. And so it was just hanging out with my dad and his friends and realizing that they all had very similar concerns.
Mm-hmm.
I think what makes me different is because I grew up with my dad, because my dad's colleagues and their kids, I grew up with them. I was doing sleepovers at the pediatrician's house and, hanging out with the other OBGYN kids, that I don't always feel like doctor is that I can't be on the same level of saying, I can help you. You can help me in your skill set, but I have a skill set that's just as needed. And so that being able to approach medicine from a marketing perspective, I've always felt really comfortable doing. And so,
and you know what? It's changed over the years because when I got out, I've been practicing a long time. I won't tell you how many decades I've been practicing, Sarah. And, when you're talking, I had so many questions that were popping up. I mean, one of the comments and questions that I had was, I think we can probably get on one of the major news stations and we could probably do a TV show, right? So your journalism career, in my opinion, is not gone just yet. We're going to pivot and we're going to shift and we're going to get a TV show, because I think who's had more espresso today? You or I? I didn't have any, by the way.
I think it's
Me?
you.
I
Yeah.
haven't had any today. So
Yeah.
imagine if I had a little espresso.
Nice.
So when I first got out, I mean, there was print advertising, you put an ad in the newspaper. Hey, listen, the new doctor in town, because you want to promote your services, right? You have a passion for what you're doing and you love what you're doing and you want people to come in and you want to service humankind. That's in part, you want to alleviate pain and suffering from people. Then all of a sudden this social media thing came in at some point in time, and you can advertise on there, and there was a big pivot. I don't understand any of this stuff, although I utilize it, or I have a company that utilizes it. What is this whole social media thing when it comes to advertising today?
And it's not, I really think it's what it used to be. It's just that now our trusted sources aren't necessarily the one office in the middle of Main Street, USA,
Right.
that we all know. And it's now just a new community. It's an online community. And the thing that you're really good at, and the thing that I help people with, is building those trustworthy communities and showing up the
Right.
same way. This is crazy. That this is a secret that I know you already know, but I really hope your listeners lean into this, is that
I'm leaning in.
Still be a human being,
Right.
be a human being with real human expressions and real human emotions and real humanness, and be real, and you will create a community. And there is no formula. There is no perfect thing. There's nothing I can give you in a textbook or a template or this, because you just have to be so uniquely you and so boldly you. And I really think that you're so good at this.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. I'm blushing now. I
actually have some questions for you as someone who has a podcast. Can I ask you a few questions?
You're going to ask me a few questions?
Ask you a few questions.
You're going to, wait a second. This is my podcast. You're going to ask me questions?
But I have the questions because
for all my listeners, I think that my podcast was just hijacked.
Sent out an SOS signal.
SOS. Hold on. Let's get the SOS signals out and let's go. I got all my notes here and we're gonna, all right. You're taking over the show. Go ahead. Ask me questions.
Question I have is what you do, and you serve people in your Destination Health podcast. Like, you show up and serve. And that, we bonded a little bit also when we got to know each other, being
Absolutely.
here in the Northeast, being hockey fans, being sports nuts, and just knowing the kind of drive and dedication that takes. And what you do has such drive and dedication with the Destination Health podcast. But let's just go back to that moment. Do you create it for the you that you used to be right before you found, your own wellness journey? Or what is that? Who are you speaking to?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm speaking to individuals where I'm trying to motivate them, educate them, and inspire them. So when I was asked to do this podcast, I didn't want to talk about pain relief. I'm a chiropractor. I didn't want to talk about vitamins and minerals and Mediterranean diet, Sarah. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to talk directly to individuals that needed some inspiration to be better versions of themselves. I wanted to get people up off the couch. Maybe they need to go see a functional medicine doctor. Maybe they need to see a traditional doctor, like your dad's a traditional doctor. We have MDs and DOs that are in our offices, and they're integrative, they're traditional. So we wanted to motivate somebody. And I've had many different types of individuals on my podcast where if a young person is listening to this, whether it's now or 10 years from now, I wanted them to say, I can do something with my life. I can get better, whether it was from a physical health standpoint, whether it was from a mental health standpoint, emotional health standpoint. This is something I'm very passionate about. No matter what that was, I wanted somebody to sit there and say, I can be better. It could be anything. As a functional medicine practitioner, if I can get you off the couch and go see somebody in your neighborhood, or you see me if you're close to me and you had a heart attack, there's a better way of life. You don't have to live this way. There is a better way of life. If you have diabetes, there's a better way of life. You know what? If you feel a little down about yourself, I don't care what it is. You know, I got some bad grades and I was told that I had ADHD. There's solutions to help you out to get you to be better. It doesn't have to be from a physical standpoint. I've had therapists on here. So when I decided to do this, it was a pivot because it was just before the whatever happened recently, and we weren't able to do things and so forth. And, you know, I wanted to make an impact. Prior to that, I was making an impact, I believe, being a chiropractor, but mainly I was still this nutritionist, dysfunctional medicine doctor because of my own journey, and I was helping. So the stuff that happened a couple of years ago, me probably wouldn't have done this podcast, you know, and what can come out of this stuff that's going on in the world where it could be better. And what is it? And I remember listening to a podcast, and I remember somebody sitting there saying, all right, you know, people are falling apart right now. People are falling apart. They're totally off. What can you do? What is it that you can do? Now my accent's coming out when I talk too
When
much.
you get angry, when you get passionate, it's the
Yeah. You know, what is it that you can do in order to serve humankind? So what he did, and I remember this, he was in the food industry. Well, what does that got to do with anything, right? But he's in the food industry, and he said, people have to eat. People are not going out. He said, you know what? I got my food cart. I got some healthy food, and it was at cost. And I didn't even make a dime, but I was able to pay my employees. I was able to purchase more food so that we can do this. He goes, and I said, wow, what a great concept. And that really motivated me. If I'm going to do this, I want to make that impact in the world. So again, if somebody that's young, a young man, a young girl, an older person, you know, senior citizen, oh, I wanted to run a marathon, and I never got a chance to do that. Or I wanted to go back to school, and I'm 60 years old, and I'm a little upset at myself that I didn't. Hopefully one of these podcasts will sit there and say, well, you know what? I was going to say a curse word, but I'm going to say no curse words. I was going to say, you know what? Let's do this. You know, let's lead the charge, babe. Let's go. You know, that's what I wanted to do. So the old me never would have done this. The new me, because I had to pivot and I had to be a better version of myself. I said, you know what? You know, I want to impact. I want to be impactful. Very impactful, by the way. I've always had that, by the way.
In my world, I call that a legacy. Like, I really think that people at a certain age then say, what am I leaving this world with? And I think I got that from some of my training with Brendan Burchard, who had a moment where he said, you know, did I love, did I live, did I matter? And like, did I make a difference? And
did I matter in this lifetime? Did I matter to my family? Did I matter to my community? Did I matter to my state? Did I matter to my country, to the world? What did I leave so that in 100 years from now, they say, oh, Dr. Dan, he was pretty good. He did something that really changed the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, we talk a lot about motivation, and you hope that someone gets motivated, and your in a way in the business of motivating people, with the addition of functional medicine to your chiropractic background and your emphasis on nutrition and lifestyle changes. What are some of your best tips for keeping people motivated? All right, so I'm motivated to come into your office. I'm motivated to get started, but you know that everyone has that moment where they just hit that wall. And I think this applies to business just as much as it does to health, because we all have that moment. Give me your best tricks, Doc, on keeping me motivated in it.
You know what? That's a great question, because we were talking about this topic last night in the office, and I was talking with a business partner of mine, Dr. Kopp, earlier this morning, because individuals, get frustrated when they go see different types of docs. And here's the simple answer. You know what? You got to be real. You got to be honest. And you got to be in their face. You got to tone it down when it's time to tone it down. You got to bring it up when it's time to bring it up. I just look at people and I'm just brutally honest with them. And I have a twist. Like last night, I was dealing with a patient that didn't even want to start. And they're 195 pounds, 23-year-old female. They want to lose weight. They have some health issues that are going on. And, I don't want to do this. Why don't you want to do it? Oh, because, I said, I know why. Because if I make a positive lifestyle change and I take something away from you, a food, if I do that, taking away is painful to you. She's like, you're right. So I said, but we did some blood work. I got the blood work here. We did the food sensitivity. We did the wheat tumor. You have some leaky gut. You got some food sensitivities. And I got your diet journal right here, your diet diary. And the foods that you're having a problem with are the foods that you're eating. So I said, this is exciting. I broke her pattern. You got to break their pattern. This is exciting, I said. And I'm smiling at her, and she's got this sour look. So this is exciting. Why is it exciting? Because we have an opportunity here to change your life. Now, why would you eat this when we know that it's not good for you? But you like these other foods too, but you like to eat this food a lot. We're taking this food out and we're going to do X, Y, and Z to help you have a better lifestyle. Because what is happening to you is that, this weight stuff that's going on, is creating a health concern. And you're 23 years old. Why do you want to be sick when you're 23 years old? You have a diagnosis. Why do you want that? And now that you know that what you're eating is causing an issue, we can change this around and we could be really, really, really happy. And I'm smiling at her. And now there's a little thing that, she goes like this. And as I'm breaking her patterns, as I'm getting her to think differently, instead of taking away, I'm adding. Because, listen, if you take hockey away from our children, your brother, that's going to be a problem, right? That's going to be a big problem. But we're going to add something that's better to help you out and to break their patterns and to give them some hope. That's a big one. To give them some hope. To break their patterns, to give them hope. And I use a little humor, because sometimes people come in, they're sick. They've had a heart attack, they're a little down. And I'm trying, as we work, I'm trying to get them to smile. Listen, you lost some weight. Your triglycerides are a lot better. That's great, isn't it? You're going like that. I have a little sticker I put on there. Look, I have a happy sticker on your body count. You lost 15 pounds of body fat. That's really good. I like that. And to give them hope, to break their pattern, to give them something different to think about, a different way of thinking, because we're so accustomed to thinking a certain way. Could have been, growing up, it could have been something where, you've watched TV and, you're drinking this best stuff on earth and there's, 1 million grams of sugar in there and you have 10 of those a day because it's the best stuff on earth. Because you're going to be healthy doing that, right? So giving them hope, breaking their pattern and giving them a different way to look at it is really important. And I always say this one thing, they're sitting in front of me and they're giving me, they're giving themselves grief. I say, you're not even giving it to me. You're putting obstacles up in front of yourself. And I always say this one simple phrase, yet you're here. Yet you are sitting here in front of me. Yet you have paid for the program. Yet you're here. Why? I get to their why. I get to their why. And at the end, I say to them, I want you to be healthy, but you know what? To eat foods that are good for you, to eat something, eat foods that are good for your biochemistry, take vitamins and minerals that are good for your biochemistry, good for your physiology. To me, that's self-respect. You're respecting yourself, physically and mentally. You're making better decisions. And so my job is to give you self-respect. Like, oh my goodness, I thought you were going to help me with this and that. I am. But in order to get to that point, Sarah, you have to respect yourself.
Right.
Because I find that a lot of individuals that come in to see me, they're struggling with that, where they don't respect themselves. And then, when you don't respect yourself, you kind of do the opposite of what you're supposed to do, right? Your dad's in medical school and he has you. I mean, if he didn't respect himself, he maybe would have dropped out and he wouldn't be a physician today and you wouldn't have your career today. You and I wouldn't be talking. So there's all of these interconnections when you have the self-respect for yourself. So those are some of the things that I do. One thing that I do is if a patient's not compliant and they just don't want to follow, I discharge them, but they always come back. They always come back because the condition doesn't go away. They always come back. And we were talking about these, I don't know if they're strategies or techniques. I don't know. I was brought up in Newark on Bloomfield Avenue. I'm this kid from Bloomfield Avenue in Newark, and I'm just talking. I'm just talking. I'm keeping it real, if you will. I'm keeping it honest, and I'm kind of in your face. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I could tone it down a lot, but I'm still a little bit in your face, even though I'm toning it down, because I want you to think.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. Health is your responsibility. And I want you to think about what you're doing to yourself. What are you doing to your family? You don't feel good about yourself because you have a health concern and you need to change these lives. Then you have a bad relationship with who? Your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a bad relationship with your children. You get passed over for that nice job promotion because you don't feel good about yourself. You're a little grumpy in the morning. You don't want to go to work. You've had 3 or 4 or 5 cups of coffee to get yourself rocking and rolling. You're crashing at 10 o'clock. You get a little cake from the machine. You get all those processed foods going in. And of course, you got to have a little pizza. I mean, I grew up on pizza and I still have a slice every now and again, and by 2 o'clock, you're like, I'm dead. I have brain fog. I don't feel good about myself. I hate my job. You go home, you're arguing. I mean, that happens all the time when I'm dealing with the patient. So it's just not doing a vitamin and mineral panel.
Right.
I'm definitely not a therapist, but what I do is I look at it and I say, listen, what's going on? Maybe I need to refer you to somebody because you're not feeling so good about yourself. But I'm trying to get them to take a look at their health, take responsibility for themselves, have that hope, break it up, have a little humor, and get those successes. Because I always say, if I can get you through the first month, you're mine.
Yeah.
If I get you through the first month and you've lost some weight, you're feeling, you're looking good, you're feeling good, you ought to be in Hollywood, whatever that means for the individual, you're mine. My hooks are in you in a good way to help you out. So self-respect.
What I love about the way that you show up is you're not classically trained in psychology or advertising or motivational theory, but yet you encompass so much of it that I know I work into my instructional design with my program development. I just happen to also be able to speak healthcare, but it's a lot of the same things to be able to say, for a younger person, it sometimes is that external validation, you're not going to find a spouse. You're not going to get a good job. You're not going to drive your dream car. You're not going to live where you want to live eventually. Those are those external markers. Like you think about when we're younger, all we want is the award, the good grade, the praise from our parents. And as we get older, we don't care about that as much. We care more about, internal factors. Am I bettering myself? Am I bettering the world? You naturally go in and out of that and touch upon that. You are so natural at understanding how to attract the right person and to be so boldly you, which is what we say in advertising, to like repel everyone that's not for you at the same time. I love this, especially I just worked within my group program, helping people with their initial welcome sequence when people come into their opt-in, and to say, that's your time to also invite people and show them where the door is, to say, if this didn't work out, sometimes it's just as healthy to end early, which you do as well.
I have done that where a patient or a client comes in and no matter what is done, they're just not going to, they're not ready yet. That's the way I say. I say to them, you're not ready, and I say to them, I kind of liken it like if you need a root canal. I mean, maybe you're not ready to get it done. You got pain, you got a little bit of pain, not enough pain to do this. I mean, you haven't reached rock bottom yet. I don't know what that looks like for you, but what I do is I sit there and I say, you're just not ready yet, and maybe you do need to walk out that door, please don't, because I think I can help you. That's kind of in that mix. But if you need to go, just know that I'm here for you. I mean, if you have some crazy signs and symptoms, make sure you get yourself to that hospital. But here, from being a doctor standpoint, I have to give them some pros and some cons so that they understand, so that they can make an informed decision. You just don't say goodbye, because if you don't take care of this is what may happen to you. You have to do that, right? Because that's type of a legal type of a situation. And so, like I said, just about everybody comes back, unless they want to prove me wrong. Then why are you here? Because that happens in addition to. But like I said, after that first month, if you're there at the end of that month, most of my patients say to me, "What's next?"
No.
And I have tissues in every room. I have a box of tissues in every room, because I will tell you, it does get emotional to the individual that needed to lose 250 pounds so that they could become a firefighter. And when they lost that 250 pounds, they're sitting there, big guy, hulking guy, crying. I get emotional over it to this day, crying, and he's a firefighter today. Or to the mom or dad that did have a heart attack, and the cardiologist said, you need to eat better, and you need to see my buddy, Dr. Dan, and he's going to try to help you, that way, because, you're eating a lot of processed foods and things of that nature. And we need to we need to make those positive lifestyle, habits. We need to keep you healthy so that you can, be the best version of yourself every single day.
Let me switch and ask you a business question, because I know you didn't start out, fresh out as a baby chiropractor, as a functional medicine. Like, that was an add-on later. That was a pivot. That was a reinvention. And as you're also, it's great because you're a local community guy. You're like, come on and see me. You're well entrenched with yourself, your family, in the community, with your business. What was it like when you tried to reinvent yourself? What was it like when you stepped out of the box and said, there's no turning back now? Like, I passed, I know what I'm doing. I'm ready to go. Give me that.
Sarah, you just opened a Pandora's box. Thank you. But you just opened a Pandora's box. So, we had offices in the tri-state area, and, we were successful, on many different levels. We were serving humankind. We had a ton of employees. We were giving people livelihoods. I mean, being an entrepreneur is extremely important to me, coming from an immigrant family where they didn't have those opportunities. And we were told that you must do this. We were told this is who you are. And I get emotional over this. And, So it was for them, it was for me. I fell in love with this entrepreneurial way. And no matter what I did, I was going to have a passion and an absolute love to serve, to do what I was doing. So we were doing that. At some point in time, it changed. And at some point in time, I changed in the 90s, and it got a little bit more difficult to practice. I was young, I was inexperienced up to a certain point in business. And, you gain 10 pounds. Then you gain 15 pounds. You're not working out as much, Sarah. Next thing I know, I look down and I go, whoa, my belly, whoa, what's going on here? Next thing you know it, I'm really not feeling so good. Next thing you know it, I'm lying in a hospital bed. Next thing you know it, I'm hooked up to everything known to humankind, trying to get, what's going on here. Blood pressure, 230 over 110-ish, something like that. My triglycerides are 1,227. And what the cardiologist told me after this was all said and done, he goes, not many people make it with those numbers. So I had to pivot, and it wasn't an easy pivot. I had that imposter syndrome.
And you
Because
had young kids at home too.
What's that?
You had young kids, right?
No kids at that point.
No kids at that time? Okay, all right. Okay.
No kids at that time. It was my wife and I. And for me, I went through imposter syndrome. I'm a fake. Here I am, a chiropractor. I'm talking health. I'm a fake. Nobody's going to, I don't even want to do this anymore. I was going to leave the profession. I'm looking to do something else. Somebody said to me, I think it was my father, and others said to me, well, you could talk, maybe go into sales. You could probably, do well there. And no, but this is who I am. I'm a doc. I'm a clinician. There was that ping pong, that I had going back and forth. It was, well, back in those days, it was Jimmy Connors versus Jimmy Connors, I guess, or, John McEnroe versus John McEnroe in my head. And it was just going back and forth, and nobody was winning. And it was, frustrating for me. Tried different types of things to lose weight. Didn't work. I went to go see a friend of mine who's a chiropractor and a nutritionist. And we did the interesting blood work for the food sensitivity testing and all different other type of functional lab testing. And then I lost 10 pounds. And I lost 20 pounds. I gained a couple back, but I lost another 15 pounds. Then all of a sudden my energy came back, and my self-esteem and my self-respect was coming back for me. Right. And I felt better about myself. And I said, wow, this is really cool. And I started spending time in his office. And I was like, what is it that I need to do this? And he goes, you have a license already. You're a chiropractor. You can do this. I said, no, if I do this, I got to do what you're doing. I got to do it at the level that you're doing. You're doing this blood work, and, people are coming in from all sorts of walks of life with all sorts of things, Sarah, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in his face, and he's looking at me. He's like, you really want to do this? He goes, I want you to go to this university, and I want you to apply for the master's program. I did. It's in human nutrition. And I didn't see him for 2.5 years. Good friend. I didn't see for 2.5 years because I was running my businesses. I got back into chiropractic, felt better about myself. I wanted to serve humankind again, which I think if you don't have that where you want to serve, I think people catch on to that. You could be a good chiropractor, a good surgeon, a good marketer. You can have the you can have the step-by-steps that I can cut into somebody and do an arthroscopy of the knee. But if you don't serve, people begin to figure that out. So I don't want to be a technician. So I went for the master's degree, and it just opened up the world to me. And, every time I walked into his office, it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I was designed to do. My career, yes, love being a chiropractor, still love being a chiropractor. But now all of a sudden, this happened, and it happened for a reason. And now I have to touch lives and make them better because you don't have to go through what I went through or any of the patients that come in. And I had to pivot, and I looked at it differently. I said to my partners, "Oh, we're adding functional medicine," and they were like, "Well, what's functional medicine?" To this day, I still don't know if they know what it is, but that's okay. So this is where my passion lies. I walk into my office and I'm home. I walk into my office and I'm where I'm supposed to be in life. I walk into my office and I'm ready to go every single day. So there were no children at that time. But then, when I was 46, my son, who just got home, he said, "Hey, Dad, James was born." And for me, I had to take it to another level, because now I'm like 46 and I just had a baby. There's a baby. I'm 60 now. And, when you have children, they look at you and they challenge you. They hear the stories of when I was younger, I played football and this and that. And he's looking at me. Nope. So now I had to take it to another level, because now I want to be impactful to his life in so many different ways. So for him being 14, it's athletics, it's academics. What else is there for him? There's his friends, his friends that are girls that he calls girlfriends and stuff like that. But I wanted to have this impact. So now he's looking at Dad in a different way, because Dad is even getting into better shape. I had a meeting this morning where somebody looked at me and said, "So when you're 65, you want to be 45?" I said, "No, I want to be 35. And I want to be able to impact my son. And I want to be able to impact his hockey team. And I want to be able to impact everybody around me this way." And it's not this vain type of a situation at all, because a lot of people look at that and they say, this is vain. No, I want to show that something can be done, Sarah, no matter what it is. It could be, and I keep going back to this. It could be, a young family, maybe they're going on tough times financially, right? Maybe they are, and maybe they got their back up against the wall. And maybe they do need to listen to this podcast or any podcast, because maybe they sit there and say, "Gee, you know what? I'm not going to give up. Not going to give up." Gets me emotional, but that's the way it is. So I'm not going to give up no matter what that is. And hopefully they don't give up. And hopefully they take it to the next level. And then they can impact their children and their community. Get involved. Be the baseball coach. Be the hockey coach. When you have abundant energy, all of this stuff happens. You don't feel good about yourself, and you come home and you have the whole pizza. You're going to sit on the couch and you're watching TV all night. All right,
I have a lot of friends. I mean, my kids are 8, almost 5 and 2, and we're involved in a million. And they're doing this, and they say, "I can't do that." And they say, "I can't do that," as the parent, not that the kids don't want to, not all the time that financials are involved, or not all the time that there's scheduling issues. It's that they can't keep up with that schedule.
Right.
And that makes me so sad, because I know my parents let us do whatever we wanted to do. And they would drive us wherever, and to Timbuktu, and they always had that kind of energy because of the lifestyle that we lived.
Yeah, you have to do that. And you know what? When I'm out in the community, or I'm out in the office, or wherever I am, I love what I'm doing, and I have such the passion for what I'm doing. Everybody knows at the end of the day. I could be at a restaurant and everybody knows what I'm doing. I don't know. Somebody's looking at me, I make, "Hey, how are you?" And we start conversing, and, "Who are you, what you do?" And this is what it is. And I do that because, my marketing is always, although we have this big social media presence, I love the one-on-one interaction, or the interaction with individuals where I'm talking with them, whether it's in a crowd, or it's a situation where I'm one-on-one. That's where I feel as if I'm at my best, where I can really, touch somebody's heart and say, "This is what I do. How can I serve you?"
Yeah.
How can I serve you? My partners look at me, and they're like, "What are you doing?" But now they do the same thing. We were out last night, and my one partner was talking, and next thing I looked at him and I said, you're doing what I'm doing. So I like that interaction with people one-on-one or in small groups. I could be on the beach.
Yeah.
I could be
You
on the
gotta
beach.
go out in your community. It's so easy to start in your community. And then the social media today, because like, let's think about it. We don't have a phone book. It's not like I can call up. I'm not calling up my friend and saying, there's this doc, go open up the phone book. I think he's
Right.
on Main Street. Like he's under the A's. Like I'm not doing that.
Those days are done.
So I have to send a
Right.
Instagram profile. I have to, it's just accessibility. It's not anything new. It's just a different way of marketing. You're either going to take out, the full page ad in the local newspaper and spend that money, which that money is not well spent today. It's more well spent to hire a social media intern to keep up your posts. It's going to be the same cost at the end of the day, different medium. Same thing.
And that's where your business comes in. And that's why it's so beneficial for me. And what's interesting is that I teach functional medicine at the graduate level. And, the students come in and they're like, oh, these funnel pages and this and that and the other thing. And I look at them and I say, okay, you graduate, you pass your licensure exam, you're sitting there in your office, you got rent, you got overhead, maybe you have your mom working for you, so you're not paying for her. So maybe that, saves a couple of bucks, but maybe you don't. And you got to pay this tax and this tax. You have to have insurance. You have to have malpractice insurance. You have to have disability insurance. And they're looking at me, they're like this, you got to turn the lights on. There's water, there's utilities. All this stuff can add up to tens of thousands of dollars a month. What do you do? What do you do? What is it that you do? Well, I don't know, but I think it's bad to do all of this stuff. Okay. All right. I leave it go. And then I come back and I say, okay, it's a month later. You got to make payments now. You have $10,000 worth of payments. Have you served humankind in the last month? Are you able to pay your employee? Because if you can't pay your employee, there could be serious consequences to that. If you don't pay your electric bill, there's serious consequences to that. I'm doing a body comp, and then all of a sudden, the electric goes off, and there's no more body comp. I can't tell you if you're getting benefit or not, right? So marketing, where you come in, is so beneficial for us to get our word out, to get that credibility, to see who we are and what we do in order to serve humankind. So now they're like, Dr. Dan, tell me, what did you do this month? You say, we do 10 things in a month. Could be a blog, could be funnel pages, could be a social media campaign, could be a webinar, could be a master class that you help out with, right? It could be, developing that signature program, could be going to the library and doing a talk or whatever that is, and so they're now, wow, we never thought that you had to do this. Well, you're just communicating. I have a friend who's an orthopedic surgeon, and he and his partners own probably one of the biggest orthopedic groups in New Jersey. Every month, I get their newsletter. Two other times a month, I get little things about blurbs about this is the surgeon that we have, and here it is. They have a Facebook page, and they kind of, I guess they coordinate, because this is Dr. So-and-so. He is the spine surgeon, and we got the email for this one, and this is what we're doing. And then twice, actually it's every other month, I get a phone call. We're going to be here and we're inviting you, and bring some business cards, and we're going to have a little dinner. We're going to break a little bread. We're going to have a little vino. All the surgeons are going to be there. They got all of that stuff. They're doing lectures in their office about how to prevent knee injuries. I said to him, you should have told me that in 1975 when I blew my knee out for the first time. So I said, everybody is doing this. It could be the sign that you have out in the front of your office, right? You could come in, you can redesign that. What about your business cards? I like to go low tech. I like to go visit doctors. I'll visit 3 to 4 doctors a day. Could be, I want to see podiatrist this week. I want to see dentist this week. I say to them, at the end, I say to them, and I break their pattern too. I say, how can I help you?
Yep. Yep.
How can I help you? I think that's a great marketing strat. How can I help you? I've told you about my business. Here's my business cards. Here's my nice brochure. How can I help you?
Yeah.
I walked into somebody with the chamber, and I met him for the first time. He's across the street from me, and he's a insurance agent. And I went and said, Ron, Dan, blah blah blah. Oh yeah. So I said, how can I help you? What's going on right now in your industry that I can help you? He goes, you know what? We're really selling a lot of policies, first time drivers, that are going to be with their parents' policies, and we just got a lot of them. Okay, I heard in the office the other day, little Johnny, little Mary just got their license. Go across the street here, go across the street, go see my guy. If he can help save you money, he does. If he can give you better policy, go see him. Why not? So,
and I have 2 marketing tips from that. One is that I learned from BNI, which is givers gain. They always say the more you give, the more you get. And the other one I like to call my own, just the Kardashian effect, where, because of influential marketing and the decline of mass marketing, the decline of advertisements and our traditional mediums, where now we are all advertisers. So someone might go, Johnny's going to go and get the policy from where you made the recommendation, not because he turned into the local radio station and he heard an ad for a insurance agent. It's because Dr. Dan, I trust him. He knows good people. He's never steered me wrong. I'm going to follow his recommendation. So we really all are marketers now, and for everyone else's stuff too, not just our own.
And not only that, but you used to go to the yellow pages, but now you're going to Google it and you're going to see who he is. You're going to go to his website. You're going to go to his Facebook page. You're going to go to his Instagram page. You're going to look at him from LinkedIn.
But I'm going to see my neighbor likes you, and I'm going to give her a call, and I'm going to say, hey, Mary, do you know Dr. Dan? And she's going to say, oh my gosh, we've been going to him for years. I said, I didn't know. Tell me more. And now I got social proof. I got validation, and look at the internet did it for you. You're not going ahead and doing that because that's weird, right? We're not putting patients' names and things, but that's happened to me so many times.
Sure.
I post out in my community group, I need a speech pathologist for my 5-year-old. Who's got one? And my neighbor texts me and says, my sister's one. You have to go. It's just down the street. Boom, that's the place I'm going. It's easy. Right.
You get that validation, and then you got to get the social like you said, you're going to go to their pages and you're going to sit there and say, what are they saying? What are they doing? And they may even go to your personal page to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something I'll tell you something when we're done here, but that's what I can't say.
I have to just say to your functional medicine students, you're right in saying you have to do marketing, but it really has to be both. If you're going to grow a local business, you got to go out and shake hands and kiss babies. That's what I say. You got to make that happen. And then you have to have a catch and a funnel and somewhere on your website.
100%.
It has to happen. Yeah.
It has to happen, because if you don't, now, you know what? I mean, there are those that have, funnel pages that you may not want to go to and stuff like that. And, they may not be professional or whatever, but then you have to make that decision. That's where validation comes in. Oh, I know Dr. Dan, or I know this one, I know Sarah. Use Sarah for the social media, right? Oh, sure, I put together the funnel pages. Here's some examples. Oh, they're really nice. I like them a lot. They're very professionally done. And I like to do a lecture, and I like to do a webinar. What do you think? Can you help me out with that? Right? And you got that whole full services that you do. Well, this is the way you do it. You're going to put together your signature program. I want to help you with that. And I want to build that so that when you go out into the community, you make that good positive splash, instead of saying, oh, geez, I got to wait 6 months before I can do another one, because everybody knows that I didn't do such a good job, and I didn't communicate what I was supposed to communicate in a proper manner. Right. So that's what happens, right? A lot of times. So you have to do that, right? And you have to, show them who you are and what you do. I love that. I love going out and meeting people. It's such a good time. It's such a blast. And, whether you see me or somebody else or not, I mean, like I said, if I can touch somebody's life and their heart and they can be better, I'm good. I'm good to go, and like, you help docs put together these curriculums, right? And when they're doing an outside lecture, because what is it called? Your signature,
Your
lecture.
program. That's it. Your signature program. I mean, and anything's a program, whether it's a one-off lecture or webinar, whether it's a, big 6-month one-on-one program, like you might do in the functional medicine world with people, or it's even just a do-it-yourself course, something like, I know that you're serving people in the tri-state area, but maybe you want to, take a more knowledge-based business and say, hey, listen, I can, through a do-it-yourself kind of digital ebook type thing, help you in 6 weeks to feel better and lose a couple pounds. Like, sure, you could do something like that.
Sure. And you know what? I was asked to be on a summit recently from somebody, a group that you and I belong to. And it was a lot of fun. And it just opened up a new world to me where I met so many other different types of physicians and therapists and nutritionists. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I'm calling them up. I'm like, oh, well, I'm Dr. Dan. I was the guy that was on there with you. And I'm like, can we talk? I want to hear what you're doing. What are you doing with Hashimoto's, or what are you doing with ADHD? What are you doing with whatever your specialty is? And I'm like, wow, this is fun. I like this, so you can grow as a person, you can grow professionally too when you're out there marketing, because you never know who you're going to meet. So I did this summit. It starts in the gut, and it was I did all the advanced lab testing, and it was a blast. I had a good time. I met so many different types of people. I'm like, can I do more? But now I'm saying to myself, I want to do one of these summits. So guess who's going to help me with that, Sarah? I'm going to do one of these summits, and and I'm going to set the world on fire, and help out as many people as I can.
You have to. I mean, that's our big mission. And what I love is that, again, like you're spreading this, but yet it's like, if you're in the tri-state area, come and see me, right?
That's right. If you're in the tri-state, I'm licensed, come see me. I could do telehealth, right? That's huge today, right? You could do telehealth. I like to get the patient in for the first exam because I like to have that interaction and do that exam. But if it can't, we can work with that. We're getting equally as great results. So for me, whatever that looks like for somebody, I like to get them in and I like to help them out because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you can change a lot of lives. You have to have your own box of tissues. I can't, my tissues, so if you're going to get emotional, that's something. You had this great experience, just make sure you have some tissues on hand. That's all.
Oh, well, we need to, when we look at your signature program, maybe in your little welcome gift, you give everyone a little box of tissues as part of that too.
I love that, Sarah. You're hired.
That could be cute. I like showing up in such a bold way. Like, I know, when I have my VIP signature days with people, you're getting like an Uber Eats gift card from me or something like that. Cause if we were together, I would have bought you lunch, so again, It comes down to that. What would you have done in a normal human world? And now we can find a way to still digitize it, which is totally acceptable. That's fine.
I love that. And that humanizes everything. And that, makes that connection, that bond, even though you may not be breaking bread right then and there with them, that's okay. You call me up, we can have a little lunch together. You got my gift card, and we can talk business a little bit.
The next best thing. That's what
it's
I say.
The next best thing. Yes. Oh my goodness. You know what? We're almost up on an hour. We could talk forever, I think, Sarah.
Oh, well, we are old souls, I think, that knew each other from a while ago. So I don't know how you close your podcast. So I have hijacked it, but I think you're going to have to take back over the controls to take us home here.
Okay. I'll you know what? You did hijack my podcast. I love it though. And it was a fun time. Nobody's ever hijacked my podcast before. So now I know what to look for if somebody's going to hijack my podcast. But you know what? Thank you very much for doing that, because I love talking about what I do, and I love helping people, and I love serving humankind. and you asked some awesome questions. And I probably could have spoken hours on each one of them. I think we'll have you back on because I think we're just scratching the surface on what we can do to serve. But, Sarah, how can people, individuals, functional medicine people, anybody who wants to do marketing, how can people contact you?
Oh gosh, that's awesome. Well, come hang out with me and hang out with me at sarah.tugender.com. So I'm Sarah with an H and it's Tugender, like TU gender. That's how it is. .com.
Gender. Okay. It's going to be in the team notes.
Yeah. And I always have something fun that I'm giving away on there for free. So I think right now, if you're watching this now, it's a fun 10 ways to work in your business without actually being in your business. It's essentially an outsourcing guide. And I have lots of different hacks and things that you can experience. So go there. That's the best way to hang out with me.
This will be in the show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening today. It's been an awesome conversation. There's been a role reversal, and I loved every moment of it. Sarah, I think we should get a TV show somewhere along the line. So your journalism career, I do not think is dead. I have no experience except for this, but that's okay. We can figure that out as time goes on. So Sarah, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you for all of the great questions that you asked me. And I hope that we were able to motivate, educate, and inspire, as we say, individuals. So whatever that means for you, please contact Sarah. I recommend her 100%. We're going to have a 2-minute conversation when this is done and over with, because I have some questions about her helping me out, getting my word out. So Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Live your best life, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.